So how was the vision of entrepreneurship different than the actual reality for you?
I thought entrepreneurship was all about the rules. And now I understand that it's absolutely 100% the opposite of that. They break the rules, they create the rules. That insecurity of me trying to follow the rules was not only killing my soul because I couldn't show up authentically as myself, I think it even put pressure on our businesses.
And you thought the only way to win at it is you just follow the rules and it produces this dream life after it. And that was incorrect.
Welcome to Unreasonable Autonomy. My name is Sarah Grace. This is the podcast for entrepreneurs and innovators who refuse to settle. Here we dive deep into raw, real conversations with boundary pushers who have pursued seemingly impossible ideas and yet have achieved unreasonable results, whether that's in their faith, relationships, health, politics, yes, even business. All of those conversations are happening right here, right now. So let's buckle up because this isn't about playing it safe. Unreasonable ideas, unstoppable results. Let's go.
Oh, my dear friends, it is a bucket list day on the Unreasonable Autonomy podcast. Today's guest is Ashlee Latimer, a mom of 5 and serial entrepreneur. Ashlee started her journey as an entrepreneur's wife until she decided to become the entrepreneur herself. And she didn't just dip her toe in. She went all in. And along the way, she and her husband have lived in 2 different countries, built and sold 4 companies, and are currently absentee owners of a SaaS business while simultaneously launching another SaaS company and a decentralized coaching program. Whew. And get this, Ashlee also created a program specifically for entrepreneurial wives, helping them thrive alongside their ambitious partners. She's paused it for now to focus on scaling their latest venture. But the impact she's made coaching other women in that space speaks for itself. When she's not building businesses or raising 5 kids, you'll find her bouncing between 2 worlds: Texas, where their recording studio and companies are based, and Michigan, where they spend the rest of their time. She calls it her Hannah Montana moment, living both the country life and the city life. If there's one thing Ashlee lives by, it's this: people and fun are non-negotiable. And she's proof that you can build multiple $1-million businesses, raise a family, and still refuse to pick just one version of the life you want. I am beyond excited for this conversation with Ashlee Latimer. My dear listeners, I have a brand new friend in the room, and I gotta say, the rumor mill is flowing around the amazing Ashlee Latimer. She is here today. I will let her say hello. Hello.
Hello. I don't know what kind of rumors, but now you got me curious for sure.
I'm not going to do like a whole bunch of name dropping, but the reality is I was asking a very trusted friend and mentor. I was saying, if you could pick 6 other women besides yourself to create like a mastermind with and just get into the nitty gritty of life and business and family and all the things, like who would be in there? And she's like, I would for sure ask Ashlee Latimer first.
Oh, well, that makes my heart so happy. And it is true because I try to lean into my authentic self. So I'm really honest about parenting and marriage and business. And I think we're just all trying to figure it out. And I think that's the best way to support other women is to show up authentically. And so that's all I got. I can only show up authentically. I can't be fancy in any other realm, if that makes sense.
I will take it, which is going to make this conversation absolutely soar. And in fact, before we push record, you said something like, I have a no lie face. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I have a no lie face. Like, that's why I always tell the truth. Even if it's hard, even if it's, I mean, the truth gets you a lot farther than my face tells a lot of stories that maybe I won't say right away. So.
Well, everybody, you're going to want to jump on YouTube instead of just listening to the audio so you can sit here and watch this no lie face in action during this conversation because we are going to go deep, right? We are going to go deep because you are a deep soul. I really believe you have done I can sense it as I've prepared for this and prepared questions and experiences. You have done the deep work, right? People put work in like quotes or whatever. And I know you've had incredible mentors and guides, but you have been through it, girl.
Yes, I have. And when you say I've done the deep work, I don't think I did it on purpose. I think you have to do the deep work if you want to grow and come out the other side. And that is one of my biggest regrets, would be not growing and not evolving and not changing. And so that is probably something that we really strive for in our home is growth. And so you have to grow, because if not, if you don't thrive, you might die. You know what I mean? I don't want to just survive life. I want to thrive. And so that's what I've learned from entrepreneurship, actually. So
I love it. And I want to dive in to just putting everybody on even ground right now so that they know who you are, where you came from. I've already read your bio. They're already so excited, I'm sure, to hear about so many nuances of your life. But give us the 3 to 5 minute version of what got you into entrepreneurship, what's allowed you to stay in entrepreneurship. Just set the stage for us.
Okay. Well, I say that I got into entrepreneurship because I have a drug problem. I got drugged into this life. Like, I didn't plan on becoming an entrepreneur. I don't even think that was a word that was in my brain, but I did marry a visionary. I met someone, my husband is someone who I think I was attracted to the way he wanted to change the world. And so I loved every entrepreneurial quality about him when I married him. I met him as a high school sweetheart, and he delivered pizzas, and we got married, and we lived in a trailer park, and we had some humble beginnings. But I remember just even dreaming in the trailer park of how we were going to change the world. And I was like, I am all on board. I just didn't know what that would entail. I'll be honest. Like, yes, and entrepreneurship is so much different than I thought it would be. But so I actually started in the role as an entrepreneur wife. My husband started a window cleaning and pressure cleaning company. When my baby was 6 weeks old, he quit his nice, cushy corporate job. He quit that job to go start a window cleaning and pressure cleaning. And I thought, I think this is what homeless people do. And
were you mad? Oh gosh. Were you mad?
I think I was more shocked, because I had come accustomed to building this perfect life of, we're going to have insurance, and then we're going to have a baby. And then it was like he lit everything on fire. But when I look back, my husband was dying in that cubicle. He came alive in the moment he quit the job and had hopes and dreams and visionary. Like, if he would have been still in that cubicle, we probably would have been divorced, because we would have built two separate lives. Like, now we've interlocked entrepreneurship into our family and our marriage, and we've trauma bonded in some realm. And so I think we probably would have been divorced, because he would have died a slow, painful death of visionary dies.
Yeah. Yep. And many people listening may feel like they are that visionary or the supporter of that visionary. And that is such a critical moment for you guys. So he decides, I know you got a baby coming. I'm going to quit. I'm going to build this business. What happened?
So we go into hustle and grind. And in the beginning years, I call my husband's business the other woman, because it took all of our time, our money, our resources. It got all of my husband's attention. But then something happened at year 3. He started adding systems. He started activating in a way where he started understanding the game of business like nobody had ever met before. But when he came home, he had kind of sacrificed our family. And so I was kind of over it, because our business was winning, but our family wasn't. And so in this moment, he was like, oh my goodness, I need to systemize our family. Like, I need to give my family a birthright, a logo. I need to have date nights with my wives. I need to systemize how I hang out with my children and do VIP days, is what he calls them. It's like special time. So we have Sawyer Sunday, Maverick Monday, Tucker Tuesday, Judah May Thursday, and Finley Friday, where he has special time with our kids. And so he reinvigorated our family and changed the whole dynamics, because he added the same systems into our family. And so at this moment, I'm still an entrepreneur wife, but we feel called from Jesus to move out of the country. And so we moved to Costa Rica. We sell our business, which actually was not for sale, but someone came private equity came and bought our company, and they bought our company when it wasn't for sale. We moved out of the country and we started a software company because we thought that that was the ticket out, that it was a more leveraged vehicle, a leveraged model than the home service. But in that moment, my husband created that software was it and still is. We still own it. That software is for the home service industry. So we took what we knew there and then added it to the software. My husband created a podcast for the home service industry that ended up getting over 1 million downloads. And then we ended up building a coaching program. That's how we met Russell Brunson. And we joined the Inner Circle. That's how I met all the cool people like Mandy Keene and Brent Peters and all those people, and Myron. We met them through the Inner Circle because my husband, his software company was broken. And so he's like, well, Russell did this thing, so I just need to learn from him. And then he helped us fix our business. And now we have sold that coaching company and we're on to something new. And I've actually stepped in the last few years. We've moved back to the States. I stepped into an entrepreneurship role, and my husband and I work alongside each other. So it's a lot. I'm sorry. It's just so much. So we've owned a whole bunch of businesses. We've sold businesses. We're on to our next new greatest thing, and we do it together. And that's it.
And I am like, put a period at the end. That's you, right? And what an incredible, vast array of experiences. And I want to rewind to the 3 years in which he had started the home services company, the window washing, I think is what you said. And he was coming home and you were realizing, okay, we had the family working and we were poor, but he was drained by the job. Then he starts this business. It's actually kind of lighting him up. But when he comes home, we've got this family dynamic that's broken. And something that you said to me is before we pushed record, is you said, I am unafraid of hard things. I am unafraid of hard conversations. And that probably comes from your honest, authentic heart, that things just need to be faced. What were those conversations like between you and him when those decisions needed to be made?
Well, they were not easy decisions, but one of our family proprietary language that we use, and we have it on t-shirts and we've given it away to thousands of people when we're on stage or in our own programs, is we have shirts that say do hard things. And so if you ask any one of my kids right now, they'll say Latimers do hard things. And the truth of the matter is you're going to do hard things in your life no matter what. Are you going to take action and make a choice? And so, yes, we had hard conversations, but it was kind of out of just pain. Like, this is hard either way. Let's go at it head on and really fight this fight together. And we kind of found out that we're actually way more powerful together as a team. And so I actually wish I would have jumped on board into entrepreneurship sooner, because it makes me have compassion for him. And we get to share a world that we never shared before. And we just have learned a lot of skills through entrepreneurship and doing it together. And I think I actually appreciate him and honor him so much more because I see him in so many different lanes and realms. It's going to get me teary-eyed because he has taught me a lot about life. Watching him go through really hard things has encouraged me to go through hard things. So,
wow. And what I just want to extract that piece of what has he specifically taught you about life?
Well, one fun thing is that he has this picture of him when we were really poor and he started his window cleaning company. He called it his work truck. And it's this Cavalier with a ladder on the top of it and a ladder inside of it. And he's like doing this silly face. And in the moment, that was a really hard time for him. He wasn't winning at life. He didn't take that picture. My brother took it. And he always would say, this is what he always says is, that story is going to make me $1 million. And I have watched him go through really hard things. And though that story's made him like tens of millions of dollars because he's used it to help, change people's lives. And so just really leaning into the hard things. Another thing that my husband taught me too is just because we've met a lot of people in the business realm, a lot of people who have had some really evil intentions. and have done some really crappy things to us, like hundreds of thousands of dollars people have taken from us. And in those moments, you want to start to get yourself really riled up. And his integrity has never changed. And he is always like, that's them. What are we going to do? How are we going to show up? And I've watched him show up over and over and over again when people who acted like they had good intentions have really done bad things. And it's like the more it happens to him, the colder my heart wants to get, but it also gets so much warmer because I watch the way he loves people and he doesn't bash people. And so I've learned a lot from that. I've actually learned a lot from watching him stand with his integrity when other people probably wouldn't. Like when most of the world wouldn't. He has done the right thing by everybody. And he will put himself last.
He will put himself last. I'm just so moved by so many layers of your experiences together and how it sounds like you both, while you feel like you've learned from him, have kept your integrity in check and have really tried to prioritize people. And in all my digging, I didn't discover that you have had people take hundreds, if not multiple of hundreds of thousands of dollars from you. Makes me sick inside. I also recognize that you are a God-fearing people, that you are a believer in the Savior, Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. And so how in a business setting, I mean, I'm going to put it in quotes because it's just business, right? It's just business is what people will say. You obviously are like, I hate that too. How have you handled sort of the balance of justice and mercy and boundaries and stuff as a couple in business?
Well, I say, Jesus, take the wheel a lot. And sometimes I'm just praying out loud. Like, I can't even believe, like, Jesus, there must be something really great happening at the end of this because I'm a little bit more feisty. I mean, I'm feisty. And so when some things go wrong, and like you said, there won't be anything on the internet because my husband won't tell anity about all of the things. Like, of course you didn't find their heart, which makes me giggle inside. But I don't know how basically just prayer. And I always also am a little bit more guarded. And I also do think good contracts makes good fences make good neighbors. And so good contracts, clear communication. I've also learned how to articulate better. So when I'm communicating to people, they're understanding how I'm showing up and vice versa. And so I would say good contracts and good communication. But as a God-fearing person, lots of prayer, lots of Jesus, I want to fight this person right now. Right. It's okay. Like when somebody wrongs me, I'm like, I'm the person at the grocery store that's telling everybody sorry when they ram their cart into me. Like I'm that person. I'm apologizing. But when you do it to my husband or my family, let's go. Let's fight. Go. Like, let's fight right now.
Right. But is there ever? Yeah, go ahead. I
was just going to say, but my husband has taught me to rein the crazy in and just prayer. I would say prayer, Jesus taking the wheel. I also am very careful when people just start off telling me they're a Christian over and over again. I'm like, something ain't right. Like, I want to see by your actions.
Ooh, interesting.
I do have a hack for this too.
What's the hack?
Anytime you're going into business with somebody or they're trying to do some kind of business deal with them, one new rule of thumb that we have is we take them and their significant other to dinner, because the way that a business person treats their wife or husband, depending on which way, the way they treat them, the way that they talk about each other, the way they interact, it says a lot without saying them. If you can also meet their kids, it says a lot without saying things. And so I think those are really important things that you can kind of get a grasp of the landscape, because there's certain things that when they're interacting with their family, they cannot hide. They cannot hide. Right. And everybody can have a bad day, but there's some things you got to be paying attention. So that's my new hack, is taking them out to dinner. Like, oh, you want to do business with us? Okay, let's go out to dinner. Let's have some dinner.
I love it so much because you hear quotes like, how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? And I have this vivid memory of probably being 8 or 9 years old. And you remember the Reader's Digests?
Oh yeah.
Those little means. And I remember hearing this quote from Joan Rivers. Oh my gosh, I'm dating myself. It's fine. But Joan Rivers, and she said, a man that is nice to you and rude to the waiter is not a nice man, is what she said.
Amen. I was going to just actually, before you said that, I was thinking it's not just how they interact with their family, it's how they treat staff. We have been in places where people treat wait staff so awful. It's like, if you treat someone that is serving you food horrible, how are you going to treat me on a bad day? How are you going to treat me on a good day? Like, how are you going to treat me behind my back? Like,
we could go on and on, on and on. And I love that you guys are willing to go to those lengths to make sure we're partnering with people that we align with. And here we are not going to be rushed into this. And something that really stood out to me when you were telling your story of getting started in business is you said that entrepreneurship has been different than I thought it was going to be. So how was the vision of entrepreneurship different than the actual reality for you?
Ooh, that's a great question. I thought entrepreneurship was all about the rules and people wearing professional attire and people doing XYZ and not, rattling the status quo. And now I understand that it's absolutely 100% the opposite of that. They break the rules. They create the rules. They have visions of grandeur and they do things differently. And so I think I would have went for entrepreneurship a little bit more if I would have understood that, because there was a lot of pressure on what that looks like. And even in the first few years when I started to step into business with my husband, that insecurity of me trying to follow the rules was not only killing my soul because I couldn't show up authentically as myself because I had put all this pressure on what it was to be Josh's wife, what it was to be in business, but I think it put pressure on my husband. And I think it even put pressure on our businesses because they didn't know how to respond to me. Am I Josh's wife? And so there's just all of these things that I think there wasn't very much freedom in.
And you thought the only way to win at it is you just follow the rules and it produces this dream life after it. And that was incorrect.
Yes, I think that's exactly what I thought. Like if I dressed a certain way, if I acted a certain way, if I did this a certain way or that, like it's so much pressure and so much noise to recreate what other entrepreneurs are doing that I actually don't think it really works for very long. It doesn't work. And you can see businesses that fizzle in and out, and it's because they are trying to model what they think the rules are. And some of the greatest entrepreneurs of all time have actually taken the rules and said, what rules? I mean, like Elon Musk and Steve Jobs, like they are people who are like, just think of things differently. And I think if I would have thought that in the beginning, it would have caused a lot more freedom, a lot less fighting. And
I swear it's just what's required. I swear it is. I swear we have to go through all of those different seasons. And I actually got a question from a listener when they found out I was interviewing you that I thought was so good. And she deeply admires you, your focus on women and homeschooling, and she is very involved in your world. And her personal experience, and I'll just kind of pare down her question, is she does want to go big. She wants to go all in on entrepreneurship. She wants to step into who she really is. But the attempts that she's made at it have created conflict with her external family, not her immediate family. Her husband is very supportive, all of those things. But her external family, it's greedy, it's showy. She's scared to post on social media because of how it appears. Perception is she's drowning. They're very maybe lower class. And so she feels selfish for trying to go after $1 million. I mean, she just wants to hand that to you and is basically saying, dear Ashlee, what do I do? What do I do?
Oh, I have the answer to this, I think. I think I have the answer. We'll see. We call these people normies. And normies are people who are not entrepreneurial and they can't think about things outside of the normie life. It actually stresses them out, gives them anxiety. Like Entrepreneurial conversations should not be entrusted to them, not because they don't love you, not because they don't want the best for you. It's because their advice is bad advice because they have never taken the risk of entrepreneurship. They don't know what's at stake. And on the flip side of that, when they're saying things about being selfish and different things like that, that's actually just them projecting their own emotions and identity into the situation. That's how they would feel. But the truth of the matter is I actually think not going big and not like serving, because entrepreneurship is serving other people, helping other people solve problems. And I actually think it's selfish to not go big. I actually think it's very selfish to stay small. Because if you're staying small, you are only worried about you, your family, and your household. And there's not much more, maybe your community. But if you have ideas that literally will change someone in the other hemisphere, in the other part of the world, that's not selfish. If you're willing to look dumb for a minute because there's another mother crying on her floor because she wants to be an entrepreneur and you give her hope, that's not selfish. That's actually selfless. When you will look dumb for other people to change their world, that's selfless. And I think people that are normies have a hard time breaking out because they don't understand. And you can still love those people. You just have different conversations with those people. You talk about HOAs and soccer and
self-tanner. That's what I always talk about, self-tanner. I love this.
Yeah, you talk about self-tanner. You talk about like what your kids did for Christmas break. Like you talk about very surfacey things. But that's why you have to find a group of entrepreneurs that you can go deep with, that you can have these conversations. Because, you know, I did hear a great quote from somebody once, and they said, you never take advice from someone you wouldn't trade places with. And it was actually this person who was like taunting my life and was like being so nasty to me and was like saying all this stuff. And I was like, that person actually gave me freedom from them. They didn't even know, because I was like, I would never trade places with this person. And I've been letting the way that they talk to me dictate how I show up in the world. And so never take advice from someone that you wouldn't trade places with. So
that was the answer, Ashlee. It was. And I hope that listener, I know she's going to listen because she's waiting for this to come out. I would imagine that your selflessness in going big and getting out there have directly impacted her life. So that listener, I hope she sees that because Ashlee went big and because Ashlee got out there and took those risks, your life has been blessed and you've been able to now ask that question. Right?
Yeah. I think here's a trick. Okay. Here's a trick too, I think, that I've learned from the many roles of being an entrepreneur wife, an entrepreneur, a mom of entrepreneurs, is that we think that after we make a decision, that we join groups, that we speak on stage to thousands of people, that every day is going to feel amazing. And the truth of the matter is it's not. And just because I am speaking life into that woman that is crying on her bathroom floor, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to do that tomorrow. But the entrepreneurship in me, the entrepreneur in me, is the one that's whispering, get up. We got more left in us. And so that's what I would tell the person. It's not necessarily what the normie would say and how to deal with them, but how are you going to talk to yourself in those dark moments and remind yourself, there's someone counting on me and I need to show up even in my hardest days, or I need to take a break and rest and reset because I got more left in me. So that's also a little nugget I'd say.
I love the dialogue. And there's nothing little about that nugget that you gave us. And I really want to bring in your faith into this part of the conversation. I think we often attribute religion to humility and consecration and service. And then this big M word comes into the equation, money, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to ask the blunt question that no one would dare ask you. And that is, does God care about how much money you make?
I actually think that money is, we call money around here certificates of good deeds. When we look at someone's big house or fancy cars. And we're not really into that because everybody's into what they're into. My husband always asks my kids, how much value do you think they brought to the world? What do you think they did? I bet they did a lot of certificates of good deeds. See, our world has
So good.
Our world, like in Hollywood, has really made people who make a lot of money the bad guy. And there have been lots of bad guys who make lots of money, but it's like a programming mechanism. So the way that you view about money has a lot to do with your upbringing and like God talks about money. And actually even Myron Golden talks about like how there was gold in the garden and people weren't even trading things back then. Like God put gold in the garden and like money is a magnifier. So like if I want to do good things in the world, the more money I have, the more good I can do. Same with the bad. And my friend Jamie Cross, she actually said the people who think about money the most are people who have the least. They actually think about money all the time because if you don't have enough of it, it's the only thing you can think of. And so a lot of times I think it's got to do with bad programming. There's lots of different, denominations and different things. And a lot of it comes with programming and views of money from the people in the church, not what God actually says about it.
Wow. So straight to the source, Ashlee.
Yeah. I mean, there's a parable in the Bible too about talents and like multiplying them and not hiding them and hoarding them. That basically teaches us that we're not supposed to hoard it and hide it for ourselves and like worry about the master. We're like supposed to go do stuff. We're supposed to multiply our money. And so I feel like my husband's really good at this because he'll take all of the money that we have and reinvest it into a new idea. And then we'll get more of it and then we'll reinvest it into, so he's like, he really took that parable real to the core.
And found that it was principally based, that it's actually true, right? It does.
I mean, you always want your money to come back with friends. I mean, I always joke that I gave Russell Brunson a whole bunch of money, but every time I give Russell Brunson money, that money comes back with friends. It does. It's like when I invest in like learning how to grow as an entrepreneur, it always comes back. Or even with stories, like I said, this story is going to make us $1 million. It's the learning process that we go through. So I would call money certificates of good deeds.
Oh, I've got a whole new language for my home. Thanks to you. I'm just so selfishly grateful you're here. And I want to go go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, if people have like a bad programming about money, I am not an expert in this. And I have had some weird, my husband and I both grew up blue collar, very normie lifestyle. But in Hollywood, if you start like your reticular activating system, your RAS, if you start to notice the way Hollywood or movies talks about money or the billionaire or this or that, and it's all evil and this, you have to like really check what you have going into like who you surround yourself up and talk about money.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And that's just another hack. If you're in that kind of space, it's like, okay, here's the question. What are my inputs when it comes to money right now? I love it. And that was actually the question I wanted to go with was your upbringing. And you said, I grew up in a normie house. So tell us a little bit about your childhood and connect it to when you started to realize maybe you weren't a normie. How did that go down?
Oh, that's really great. And sometimes I still have normie thoughts that will sneak in, just so you know. So it's not like it's perfection all the time, but
you and me both, girl. Yeah.
My parents were high school sweethearts and they got married and they were very young parents. My mom was 19 when she had me. And she was a college student and my dad worked at Kmart. He ended up working for, they moved up in their careers. My mom ended up becoming a dental hygienist and my dad worked for the state of Michigan. And just normie lifestyle. Everybody I knew had a 9-to-5 job. I'd never experienced what it was like to just take your kids to the water park because it's Tuesday. Or we can do what we want because there was a lot of freedom to that. So I will tell you that part was addicting when it was like, wait, nobody has to call my boss because I'm just not feeling like it today. It's like, no. I mean, there are some amazing things about entrepreneurship where if everybody knew, everybody would do it.
Amen. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I think the more entrepreneurs, the better, because I think entrepreneurs make the world better. So maybe we should tell everybody.
Maybe we should.
Maybe we should tell everybody. But I think it's just little taste of that. I mean, there's lots of negatives that we could complain about of, my husband we'd be at a Christmas, you know, musical thing that my kids are putting on, and he's got to take a work call because there's an emergency and things are burning down to the ground, right? But we have freedom that if for some reason our family needed a reset, we could push pause, we could go to a hotel, we could reset. And it's been a really beautiful thing to show my kids opportunities. So
Yeah. And it seems to me that as I hear about your homeschooling and I hear about the verbiage that you have around money and that you have like a family logo and motto and, all of these things, that you've been so incredibly intentional about how your family operates. What would you say to families who feel like they're kind of winging it right now as entrepreneurs and it's just kind of day by day? What would be some of those foundational things a family can do to be more intentional about where they're headed as a family?
I think the first things that come from intention are two really core pillars, and it's connection and identity. Like if you don't know who you are and where you're going, you are going to struggle. You are going to live chaos to chaos. You're going to have great moments in there. But if you don't know who you are and like what you're a part of, it's just the mundane. But if you're a part of something bigger than yourself, which is what we try to create in our home, then you can conquer the world. And Tuesday might be horrible for everybody, but guess what? We are still have a mission, a mandate, and purpose, and we're going to come back swinging the next day, right? And then I would say connection. So we don't have like hundreds and hundreds of hours of kumbaya time where we're sitting on the floor and we're doing tea parties. Now, I'll do a tea party with my daughters, but we have very intentional time. So it's not a lot of time, but it's intentional time.
Tell me about it a little bit. Go a little deeper.
So like Josh, when he started those special VIP days, he realized, he was gone working crazy hours. And when he was home, he wasn't really home. He was checking emails and voicemails and learning podcasts and learning how to do the business better. He wasn't fully present. And so he started, Sawyer Sunday, Maverick Monday, Tucker Tuesday, and June May Thursday, and Finley Friday. And that was dedicated time where he just would sit with them for even like 20 to 30 minutes, sometimes an hour. Sometimes he'd take them to ice cream. He'd play Legos. They'd go out to dinner. And it was just time where he would just really reconnect. And it was about them. And he asked my kids questions that I was like, they're 3 years old. They don't know the answer to that. But I was always shocked when they would come back with this profound answer. Like, Judah, why do you think you're here? Why do you think God put you here? And she'd be like, I don't know. And then she would just talk and just process the day. And it was a safe place. And so we're really adamant about connection. My husband and I go on date night every Saturday just to reconnect. And we don't talk about business or kids, even though they always come up and we're like, oh yeah, we're not supposed to talk about that. Because connection, if you're disconnected and you're trying to run a business, that's just, I've done that. And that is hard. That is work. But when you're doing it out of an overflow of someone that you're like, you're my ride or die because we ate crab legs last week and we had a great time and I love your face. Yes. I might not love it tomorrow, but I love it right now. Like it just puts fuel in the tank. That's what connection does. It puts fuel in the tank in those intentional times.
And what are the signs that a couple is disconnected? How do you know?
Oh, coldness, nagging. I used to call myself, I'm a recovering nagger. Nag at the naggy pants. That was my name. If someone's nagging, if someone's cold, irritability. If someone's irritable, there's more going on than they didn't take out the garbage. There's more going on. It's never really about the garbage. It's about not being seen and not being heard. But when you get someone on board with you, you will literally walk through fire for them. you will walk through fire. And people can see this even in their connection with their employees, or their clients. If you have a client that took a bullet for you, it's because you saw them, you heard them, you were in the and so I think that connection is really important. So connection and identity, that's what I would say.
Incredible. And I want to push it even further. I heard this quote once. I dare say it was Dave Ramsey, which is probably terrible to quote right now. But he said, the only ship that doesn't sail is a partnership, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ship that doesn't sail. And so his very firm advice is never go into a partnership in business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Never, just never, ever. And I'm sure that there are stats to go along with why that is accurate. My husband is an anesthesiologist. I'm an entrepreneur. And so we do not work together in any kind of business capacity, right?
But you both have very stressful jobs. That's a stressful job that he has.
Very intense, stressful, high and low jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, and this is more out of selfish curiosity, what has made your partnership work in business? Oh, you're in business together now. You kind of felt like the side wife initially, and that was kind of your role, but now you are in business. What have you learned through that partnership now?
I have learned so many things.
I'm sure I want to hear.
I found out that I'm a very passionate person. And no, what I have learned is I actually have learned, my husband says all conflict comes from unmet expectations. And so I am way better at articulating and communicating with my husband needs, wants. I'm good at bucketing. This is a business problem and it shouldn't go into marriage problem, or this is a marriage problem. This should not go into business or parenting. And so I try to categorize things in my brain and also learn how to articulate the process going out. This is going to sound super counterintuitive, but I've also learned to take care of myself. When I start feeling the wheels come off, it's not because I'm stressed out about business. It's not because I am stressed out about, sometimes I just need some time to reset, to redo all of the things. And that's what I've learned about, working with my husband, because even the other day, I'll be honest with you, Sarah. I'm going to be honest with you.
No lie face.
Yeah. His breathing was annoying the stink out of me. And him and I we live in Michigan and our company's in Texas, and we fly back and forth. We're back and forth. Our family goes and stays in Texas, but our kids stayed in Michigan, and we were there 12 days doing tons of different events. We had it pretty stacked. So we left our kids here. And so it was just him and I. It was lots of together time. It was all the together time. It was 12. It sounds romantic. And we did lots of dates. It was 12 days of dates. Okay. It was so much dating. But on one of the last days, it was 2 or 3 days before we were going to go home, his breathing, just the way he was breathing was annoying. Everything was annoying me. Okay. And I found out it's because he wanted to hang out the whole time. And I love to go thrift shopping. And he even went with me there. And that's not what I wanted, but I love him so much. And I am obsessed with him. He is amazing, right? But I needed some time to reset and do some self-care. And so my team member, Leslie, she looked at me and she's like, she's the only woman she's one of the only women on our team. And that's in-house. And she was like, she's like, are you sure you don't need to dilly-dally? And I was like, yes, I need to dilly-dally. So Sarah, I kid you not, I went and I dilly-dallied and I reset my whole nervous system and I could conquer the world. I only needed 2 hours of dilly-dallying. And then I loved the way he was breathing. He was breathing like a sexy man beast that he is. I just needed to dilly-dally. So I think I'm learning, and even my staff have to remind me, we sometimes just need to reset. We just need a moment to go be with the Lord, to think thoughts, to feel I think this is really true with new moms. We forget that we're a person too, Right. We always have people touching us and needing us and stuff, and we need to reset. And when you're a new mom, you start to feel guilt. Oh my gosh, if I leave my babies, all these bad things. It's no, if you show up as a whole mom, that's important.
Oh,
so But I say dilly dally. That's what I say.
It's code, everybody. That's the new hack. The new hack is the code that you need to go dilly dally. And I just love the real application of that, of like, everything was going right. We were crushing the live events. We were stacked. We were doing the thing. We were in our superpower, and he was breathing and driving me crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like, just the realities of being a human married in business. So gold. So gold.
Yeah. Well, thank you. We were working on marriage, mindset, money, and muscles, and we did all of them. And we made tons of money that week, but his breathing was crazy. So you just need to reset dilly dally.
Yes, I love it. Quotes. It's going to be the quote that goes on YouTube on the thumbnail. I love it. So I do sense a very deep vibe from you on your compassion towards women in entrepreneurship, right? And even the space that you gave in your most recent story about new moms and what's expected of them and how dare you leave your children and like all of the expectations that are placed on there. Where does that deep compassion drive come from for women? Why is that your cause?
Well, I don't know if it's my cause, but I do feel very passionate about it. So maybe it is my cause. Okay. I think women are harder on women than anybody else in the world. And I have been, I'm going to cry. Sarah, you did it. I have been treated very poorly by both camps, by boss moms who just like think little of me because I'm an entrepreneur wife. I've had them treat me poorly, and I've had people treat me poorly who are like, why are you trying so hard? But I think it's just a misunderstanding of what it means to be a woman, what it means to be an entrepreneur wife, what it means to be an entrepreneur. And I think what they were really saying is, I don't understand you, and I'm trying. I'm just saying it in a really nasty way because I've had people say some really crazy things to me. And I just never want that to be true for other women. I want other women to be celebrated, no matter what their role is in business, no matter what their role is. I've met mothers of all different, mothers who, public school, private school, homeschool, mothers who hire tutors to homeschool, people who, there's just so many beautiful women in the world. And I think if we stopped attacking each other, because I think here's the thing. I think other women sometimes attack women because it's more about them than it is about the women that they're upset about.
It's a mirror.
Yeah. It's like, I don't look like you, so I'm not enough. And that's not what boss women are doing, but other women feel that, right? And, boss women sometimes get affected by entrepreneur wives who are supporting their husband, and they actually feel, so a big one when I was just an entrepreneur wife, look, I just put that just in there. That's not good. See, I'm sorry, ladies, if you're an entrepreneur wife, you actually change the world.
Yes, they do.
But a lot of them would look down upon me because I was supporting my husband and I had, traditional values of like what he says goes, and I'm going to do anything to help him get his dreams. Well, what about your dreams? And putting little seeds of doubt, or even asking, why are you here? I remember one time I went on stage and they asked me to be on a panel about women entrepreneurship. And they asked me as the role, and I'd already started doing entrepreneurship, but they asked me as the role of the wife. And so I gave my opinion on that. And some women later were like, I wish you would have talked more about the entrepreneur part. Why were you talking just about like the wife part? And I was like, because that part's important too. That part's important. And so I think women, whatever their role is, they're important, and don't let anybody like dull your shine. That's what I would say too, is that people try to dull my shine and they try to make me second guess and feel like I wasn't enough, when actually my authenticity and the way I was showing up as an entrepreneur wife and an entrepreneur and like all of the crazy roles I have, I was intimidating the stink out of them, and I had no idea. But there's enough room for everybody to shine bright.
Right. Right. And it makes me think of this image I have in my mind of walking into a professor's office at a local university. And if you look on his wall, most professors have their accolades, right? Their
Mm,
diplomas or whatever. His was very unique in the sense that his diploma was up there and it was ripped in half. It was only half of the diploma. And the
interesting.
day he graduated with his doctorate, he ripped it in half and gave the other half to his wife. And her half hangs in the home.
That
And
is,
it, right, right. And it's been so symbolic for me, my own journey in putting my husband through med school, right? And these
yeah.
experiences of, gosh, women are not seeing it, right? They're not seeing it. They're also not being taught it or told it. And so I want to throw it back to you to say, why is it this way? Why? Have we undervalued holding babies and taking care of a household or supporting a husband? Like, why has it happened?
That is a great question that I think if we solved, we would change the world.
Do it right now. Okay.
I actually think it has to do, and I do think there's like roles and stuff where women have had to do amazing feats to bust the ceiling of that. You know, you want to say bust a ceiling, but I don't know if there's as many ceilings to bust anymore. Now we're just busting other people's ceilings. And I think it has to do with the internal work we do on ourselves. Like it has to be the way that we show up in the world and the way that we celebrate women. I remember one time, oh, this is gonna make me cry. I showed up at an event. I was actually paid to become the MC. It was a company that we had sold, and they paid me to come back to help run their event and be the MC. And there was like a welcome party, you know, appetizers and all the things. And I walk into the room, and this woman greets me and she says, "Why are you here?" That's what she said.
Oh no.
And a man piped up and he said, "She's here because she makes rooms better. She's here." And he like went on this whole affirmation. And I think that's how we change it. We start celebrating. Like that man made me feel seen, heard, loved, and wanted in that room. That the next day, that's who I was showing up for. I wasn't showing up in spite of her. Like I was showing up because he needed me in that room and he said, "I make rooms better." And I think we need to start telling women they make rooms better. Because I have been with stay-at-home moms who make rooms better. I've been in rooms with entrepreneur wives who make rooms better. Like that's what we should be working for. Not just busting, you know, ceilings, but making rooms better and celebrating people that do.
Well, and a little spoiler alert based upon your story. One of the questions I often ask entrepreneurs at the end of their interviews is if when you are at the end of your life, what do you hope your children say about you? And I'm sure you have many things that you could come up with, but what if all it was mom made every room better? Wouldn't that be enough?
Yes, that would totally be enough. Yeah, that would totally be enough.
Thank you to that man. I want to know who that man is and send him a thank you note for standing up for you so that you can stand up for others.
Yeah. It also reminds me to be careful because sometimes with women, we do say things to other women that are very harmful and very hurtful and maybe out of context. You know, if she would have been like, "Oh my gosh, why are you here?" That would have been different. And maybe that's how she thought it was perceived, but it wasn't because that's why the man stood up for me. So I think I'm also trying to learn how to be very careful of the words I do say.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that is a dear lesson for all of us to take home. Words matter. Words matter. And what would you say as we start to close out this conversation that has been like, I want to do like a 10-part series with you, please. I'm begging. As we start to close this out, and if you could speak directly to women that are listening, right? I would be tempted, the marketing side of me, to say, what are some of the lies that the world is telling women about who they are? But I would rather seep into your truth side of things and say, what are truths that you believe every woman needs to know?
I think every woman needs to know that they are enough enough, that they are capable, that they can do bigger things than even they think. And they can do it all while having a family and a husband who is obsessed with them. Like, you do not have to sacrifice certain parts of your life to get what you want. You can have your cake and eat it too. You can. But it might take some systems. It might take some things, but you are enough. And I don't think it's the systems that actually get us women crazy. It's actually up in here. It's the head game that we play. So I think for all women, get a grip on the head game that you're playing. Get in rooms where you're getting coached and leveling up, and just know that you're enough, because whatever your role that you want to do, just show up. Just show up authentically you. That's what women need to do too, is just show up authentically them. Like, there is enough in the world for people to show up authentically them. We need the differences of women, because that's what makes the world better. If we have women all the same, that is going to be a nightmare. So like, we need women to show up authentically themselves, just as they are, and grow.
Oh, I love it so much. And the word that comes to my mind that my daddy used to always say, there's 4 girls in my family, and he would say, you are put together by divine design.
Yeah.
Like, we are so different. We are so different. Divine design. Own it. You're meant to be together.
Yeah.
Divine design. Right. And I believe that.
I love that so much, because all 5 of my kids, my husband and I always laugh about this. Like, you take me and my husband and you get a baby, and you're like, okay, they should all look the same. They should all be the exact same clones, right?
Oh, good luck.
But they are all so different, but they are all uniquely designed by God, and for different mission mandates and purposes. Like, that's what I'm really excited about, is I feel like what my husband and I are doing, it's not about us. We do want to change the world, and it is about our customers and what we want to do, and like the trickle effect. But what it's more about is laying the foundation for our kids to be better than us, to be bigger than us, to do more than we've ever done. Like, we're doing the training wheel stuff, and it's all because our kids, and even if they don't become entrepreneurs, it's a foundation of rewiring the way they think and the way they take care of people.
Oh, so tell us, give us the 2-minute ad space, so to speak, on what you guys are working on together and what we can expect from you guys over the next year.
Okay, so we're doing this big and crazy thing called decentralized coaching. My husband's coached over 1,000 business owners, and he has a map that actually teaches business owners how to double their take-home profit without spending any money on ads or agencies. His book is actually coming out this year, which is so exciting. It's so exciting. But what we're doing is we are actually training people to build their own coaching programs or small accountability groups. I got tongue tied there. And so they use our map, our software, our systems, our support, and we put them with other people who are 2 chapters behind them. And so we're trying to multiply what my husband did in his coaching program, taking all of the knowledge that we know from software, events, transformation in people, and we're giving that to good-hearted people who have a mentor's heart, who want to coach other people. And it's a lot, you can't say the word plug and play, but it's a lot of plug and play. And what's super cool is we have so far, I think, like 85 facilitators, decentralized coaches. And, the one guy he's going to cross, he'd never coached before meeting us. And he was in our atmosphere, but he is going to cross the $1 million mark in coaching.
Oh,
he has a successful business, but now he uses our map, our frameworks, our software, and then he built his coaching program. And it's just every day we get new wins of, someone making their first 15K or 40K. We had another guy that just came in and he made 180K in coaching, and he never coached anybody. And so we teach them, we give them training and different things like that. So we're trying to actually bust the guru model, which a lot of people are not very excited about, but we really believe that people can really coach people 2 chapters behind them if they're equipped. And so we are equipping those coaches.
Incredible. But Ashlee, doesn't that stand for everything you said as far as you learn the rules and then you break them? Like this is the entire point, right? So if you're breaking the guru model, you're actually right on track. You're right where you're supposed to be, right?
Yeah, we're hoping so. And we actually think this is actually good for even not, I mean, it's not good for the gurus. They're like not excited about it. But I will tell you, with AI changing the game here, there's certain things that AI is going to have a hard time taking out, especially in the beginning. And so we're really investing a lot in like small accountability and communities.
Cool.
And so information is going to be, commoditized. It's going to be everywhere, but like actual coming together, being part of like a brotherhood, leveling up together. We think that is going to be where people really change the world. So we've invested a lot of money, time, and tears.
And tears, and your those results and those wins are coming in like it is working. And for all of our listeners, we'll make sure we've got links and contacts and everything so you guys can be part of this ride with them and be connected that way with Ashlee and with her husband and everything they're doing. New book coming out, so much to look at. And I just, from a very personal note, I know that we are new friends. The word I would think of for you is you just feel so forged to me.
Oh, wow.
That is the word. And
thank you.
I always said you've done the work and put it all in quotes at the very beginning, but I'm like, no, she is forged. She knows who she is and she's going after it. And when she forgets, she knows where to look.
Wow. That's going to make me a mushball because I guess when you're being forged, it feels more painful. So I'm glad that something great is happening out of the end of it. So,
well, thank you for being willing to go through the pain. It really is the selfless act, right? For the people that you have been called to serve. And clearly they're already being blessed and there will already be thousands more that are coming down the pipeline for you when they're ready. So what an honor to the amazing Ashlee Latimer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to just end with a couple of rapid fire questions. They should be pretty easy to answer. This has been such a blessing. And again, listeners, make sure you just find a way to be involved in Ashlee's world because we just skimmed the surface today of her genius and everything that she has to offer. So, okay, are you ready for a couple questions?
Yeah. And I'm also thinking like, I just told some stories that I've never told before. So some of my friends are going to be like, oh, wait, what?
What? Oh, I'm honored.
They're going to be shocked. So I'm excited for it. Okay.
I'm honored. Yeah, let's rock and roll. So the first one we ask every single person is, what is one book every single entrepreneur must read?
Oh gosh. There's so many good ones. I read Expert Secrets. That really changed my life. That was one of the first, it was like one of those first books that like gets you and you're like, I can be an expert in this. And so that one is super powerful. Also, The Gap in the Gain. I'm sorry, I did too. But The Gap in the Gain by Dr. Benjamin Hardy is so good, especially if you're an entrepreneur wife. That book will radically change your life.
I love that. Okay, we'll put it in the show notes below so you guys can order both of those. Second question is, what is something on your bucket list that you want to do that you have not yet done?
Ooh, I do have an anti-bucket list, but my bucket list is I want to go to Hawaii. I've never went to Hawaii and it's on my bucket list for 2026. So I do want to go to Hawaii.
I'm like, I need to make a mastermind where you can come speak on stage in Hawaii and then I'll invite you and we can cross it off.
Done.
That way. Then it's a write-off, right?
Yeah.
I love it. Beautiful. All right. The very last question, I'm going to change a little bit because I already gave you a spoiler. I want you to fast forward to the end of your life. Mm-hmm. And what do you hope your husband says about life with you?
Oh my gosh. We actually prayed to God that we would be a spectacle. Now, we didn't know what that entailed. So sometimes we're like, ooh, that was a spectacle. But I would hope that at the end of his life, he would say we did it. We were a spectacle and we did it together. We were ride or dies for the good, the bad, and the ugly. We were a spectacle and we did it for Jesus. Like that's like the most important part is doing it for Jesus. But that's what I would want him to say.
Beautiful. And Jesus works through people. That's how.
Yeah, he does. So
I love it. Well, the amazing Ashlee Latimer, thank you so much for your goodness, for being forged, and for your willingness to do what is required to become what you and your family have. It has been such an honor. I know I'm speaking on behalf of our listeners that the room got a little brighter today. because you were here. So again, thank you so much to the amazing Ashlee.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so nice to meet you.
Thank you for listening to the Unreasonable Autonomy podcast. If you loved this episode, my guests and I would love to hear about it. Go to the show notes to reach out and let me know what resonated with you or what topics or guests you want to hear in the future. I am here to create for you. Look, I deeply admire your commitment to pushing boundaries and going after an unreasonable life. Keep dreaming big, taking bold steps, and expecting the unreasonable. For more, go to the show notes to dive deeper into the conversations that will keep you going. Thanks for being here.